thank you so much for doing this interview with me. Look, I'm a music person. I've been a music person all my life. So when I get invited to somewhere where I could call a music palace, I get very excited. Where am I right now, and where do people need to come to when I talk about a music palace like this?
So this is Music from People's City, and it's an exhibition paying homage to contemporary music history in Toronto. So you're looking at basically from the 70s into the 2000s, and the song People's City was commissioned by Moses Zeimer with Tommy Ambrose as I think an initial love-in to the city, a record that was looking at Toronto as it was becoming, because the previous to that, they would sign off TV stations with God Save the Queen or...
I remember that.
We remember that. We're old enough to remember that. So that was still when people, 1 o'clock, you had an off time. But this was commissioned, and I think it kind of fell off, that song, because you went to 24-hour news cycle, so there was no off, there was no downtime. And so in looking at that sense of music from People's City, two things come to mind, the sound of the city, but also the people that make the sound. So this exhibition looks at everything from venues, some of our heroes, people like Cardinal who made T.O. Such a big deal. Every time I hear T.O, my brain goes to just looking at the city in its widest scope and thinking about everything from how you made a record, how you got it onto Much Music back in the day, how you were able to build a career as a musician in Toronto. So thinking about how the people of the city really influences the sound of the city.
Simple question, why did this take so long to finally come together? Because to me, this is something that should have been done years ago.
Well, Myseum is a museum for the city of Toronto. It's privately done with a bunch of citizens who came together wanting to fill that gap. The choice for Music from People's City was somewhat accidental. As an organization, we've only been programming for the last 2 years, and so we were looking at something we thought would resonate with the most members of the public, because often people think of museums as dusty and old and not relevant. You go look at an old thing and then you go home. So the choice was somewhat strategic about what, as a museum, if we're trying to make sure people know the city's history, would resonate. And music, as you said it, is so common and populous no matter what culture you are from or where you walk, whatever walk of life you are, people love music. And so to be able to use this exhibition as a way to start to engage with the broadest amount of Torontonians possible was really important with us. And we also got lucky with really good partners. Tiff was great in letting us have the space at a lower cost than we normally would. Sonic Boom, the record shop, partnered with us. So it's a pop-up record shop, so you can buy all Toronto artists like Tanika Charles and others that are here for sale, Rush. And also the Young Offenders helped us with the actual pop-up. And Ed Conroy's Retro Ontario, he's the one that had the archival information that we started with, the Toronto Star with the archival images. So a bunch of partners came together, and we were able to make something really interesting happen. And this pop-up space is one of a series of exhibitions, events, and experiences that's happening into mid-January.
Now, this is also interactive, because as I'm looking around, I mean, people are putting on headphones and they're looking at different things.
Yeah, so we want that. Again, the 21st Century Museum is participatory. We want people to choose how deep they go into something or not. So you could choose to look at heroes and, touch the screen and scroll through and hear a bit more about different musical famous people that we know in the city. Behind you, there's a wall that has paint that's conductive. So if you touch it, it changes the screen. So that interactivity is an important part of who we are as a museum. We never do anything on our own. We're all about collaboration, and we never want people to feel like they have to experience an exhibition in one way. There's different points of entry, so you can be as engaged or not as you choose.
You think this is going to surprise a lot of people? Because to me, culturally, this really represents what Toronto's all about and Canadian music all about too. But there might be things that I know I grew up with, but new school may sit there and go, this is who, what?
I think there will, but that's what a good museum exhibition should do, right? It should always educate. It should let those of us who maybe were there have nostalgic memories. I was talking to someone earlier, and we were remembering the Assoon brothers and talking about how, clubs that they had and things that they did before the Twilight Zone. So yeah, all of that.
You're making the references, right?
I know. So you want to take some of us who, with the gray hairs and are rolling into the 50s were there, and then those of us who are the new young people coming up to let them know some of what they're doing. They're maybe reinventing the wheel. If they knew about this, they might make different choices so that they build on what's already there. So for us, a good museum exhibition should give you some information, but also hopefully inspire you about what you might do next.
The only thing I don't like is it's a pop-up. That means it's not going to remain here. So how long do we have a chance to experience this? And I'm still calling it my music palace.
So we're here until December 15th. We're looking at extending it to mid-January.
Extend. Extend.
Fingers crossed.
Extend.
Okay. And we're also hoping to see if elements of it can tour. We were just talking to someone who's doing some program around an organization that's 10 years old in Scarborough, looking at music history there. So we may have that pieces of this pop up there. Look, the goal is to have at some point a space where we can have things like this last longer, but on our way to that, doing these pop-ups and hearing the response and seeing the response we've had just reinforces to the funders, it reinforces to the corporate partners, and anyone who knows museums knows you need the money to make things happen. So the one hand washes the other.
So where is this happening again? What's the address? And also, folks want to learn more about this, to help out, to donate, or anything else. Where do we go? And again, where is this all happening?
So we are in the Tiff Lightbox building at King and John, Myseum of Toronto. So MYSEUM. So it's museum with a Y instead of the first U. Myseumoftoronto.com is the website. You can get all the information about this as well as other programming that's happening across the city.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. And I got to let you go so you can go back, reminisce, have fun, because like I said, this is a place to really enjoy themselves, for folks to enjoy themselves. Thank you again for this.
Thank you so much.